HR, the good person. HR, the bad person. After 10 years in HR, Yuen never expected that one day she would find herself in a situation where she was stuck in the middle. Just after attending a new employee's probation review, HR manager Yuen received an urgent call from General Manager Lu Yufeng. Thinking back to the slightly lowered tone of the general manager, she had a feeling that it wasn't good news. Sometimes, a woman's intuition really is spot on, especially when you least want it to be. So, you mean to say that this year we need to cut human resource costs by 15%? Yuen asked, sitting across from Lu Yufeng, still in disbelief as he laid out the situation, starting from the macroeconomic environment and ending with the data. But Lu, that's impossible. It's already late June, and to reach the target you've set, we have to either drastically lay off people or cut salaries. She didn't finish her sentence because Lu Yufeng fell silent, his gaze heavy as he stared at her. Yuyen's heart instantly turned cold. She realized then that this was exactly why Lu Yufeng had summoned her. But Yuen opened her mouth to protest. Just a few minutes earlier, she had been encouraging the newly confirmed employee to roll up their sleeves and work hard for the company's future. But in the blink of an eye, the situation had changed so drastically that she couldn't react fast enough. I really don't want to go down this path unless it's absolutely necessary, Lu Yufeng sighed, as if understanding what Yuen was thinking. Yuen, you've been with me for a long time now. You should know what kind of person I am. The projects we've done this year are numerous, but either they're completed and the client is dragging their feet to sign the contract, or we've hit payment milestones and they find ways to delay payments, he continued. He threw a file onto the table in front of Yuen. And then there's this situation where the client, taking advantage of their position, refuses to make partial payments and insists on using 6-month promissory notes for settlement even after delivery. If this goes on, our cash flow will eventually collapse. So, Yuen, if you were in my position, what would you do? I know that both layoffs and salary cuts will hurt the people who have worked hard with us. But in a company of just a few hundred people, built over 10 years, I can't just stand by and watch it all fall apart. As he spoke, Lu Yufeng's eyes started to redden slightly. Yuen looked at him, clenching her fists. The words she wanted to say were swallowed. I understand, Lu, she finally said after a long silence. I'll think it over and bring you a plan tomorrow. On her way back to the office, Yuyen's heart was heavier than ever. In most people's minds, HR is typically seen as the boss's person. And in private enterprises, that's usually true. Like Yuen. Though she was local to the city, her family was ordinary, with both parents working as primary school teachers. Because she liked singing since childhood, she majored in vocal music. However, by the time she graduated from university, she realized that, except for those with exceptional talent or connections, finding a job was incredibly difficult. Yuen spent several months searching but couldn't find a job in her field. Just when she was feeling desperate, she came across a new software company hiring for a front desk position. She decided to take the job, hoping to start somewhere and eventually find something better. The person who interviewed her was Lu Yufeng. Since the company was small, Yuen ended up doing everything, from greeting visitors and recruiting staff to writing bids, working tirelessly day and night. She even had no time to meet her boyfriend, Xiao Yi. After 2 years of hard work, the company grew from just a handful of employees to over 100. Yuen became one of the company's few veterans. When they decided to set up a human resources department, the vice president suggested hiring an HR professional with formal training for the manager role, but Lu Yufeng insisted on promoting Yuen. Yuen is good, but she's from a music background and lacks experience, others said. She can learn, Lu Yufeng replied with unwavering confidence. I started as a programmer with no experience, but I still made it. I don't believe there's anything that can't be learned. Yuen is loyal to the company and works diligently. These 2 qualities alone make me confident she can handle this position. If any of you have doubts, we can make a bet, he said. If Yuen really doesn't do well, I, Lu Yufeng, will take responsibility and apologize to everyone. Thus, the decision was made. When Yu-in heard this, tears welled up in her eyes. From then on, she became Liu Yufeng's loyal supporter. She spent most of her time reading professional books and attending seminars, even going so far as to earn a part-time master's degree in human resources. She truly built the company's HR system from scratch, making a small private company run in an orderly and professional manner. Over the years, whether it was the splitting of the original partnership or several business crises, Yu-in had never once been on the other side, always standing by Liu Yufeng. So this time, despite her deep reluctance, Yu-in still chose to support his decision. Between layoffs and salary cuts, Yu-in leaned more towards layoffs. There was no other reason for it. Unified salary cuts would only lead to the loss of capable employees, which would be like killing the goose that lays the golden egg for the company. So, the next day at work, Yu-in requested the financial data from the finance department, calculated the input-output ratio of each department, and allocated the number of layoffs and salary reduction targets based on those ratios. Are we really laying people off? After receiving the notice, several department managers called Yu-in, their voices filled with disbelief. We can barely handle the workload as it is, and now you want to cut 30%? What's going to happen to our projects? Some of the more impatient ones even rushed to Yu-in's office, looking like they were ready to argue. Yu-in was helpless. Following Liu Yufeng's example, she explained the current situation and the company's predicament. In the end, everyone fell silent. So, this decision is already final, right? A department manager who had been with the company for over 10 years asked. Yu-in nodded. I understand. The manager sighed deeply, unable to avoid the reality, but still couldn't help but murmur. When the company was doing well, I didn't see many bonuses being handed out. Now that things have gone wrong, the first ones to suffer are the employees. Isn't that a bit? He didn't finish his sentence, dragging his heavy steps away. Yu-in felt no better herself. What made it worse was seeing the list of employees scheduled for layoffs. As if they had coordinated it, most of the names on the list were employees in their 30s. These were people Yu-in had hired herself, and she even remembered each of their first days on the job. Yu-in ordered herself an iced Americano, took a large sip, and only then was she able to suppress the tightness in her chest, exhaling a long breath through her blocked airway. She calculated the compensation according to the rule of 1 month's salary for each year of service. But since there were so many long-time employees, the total amount far exceeded what Yu-in had anticipated. However, after consulting with the finance department, she found that there was still some money in the company's account to cover these expenses. What really worried her was what would happen to them after they left. Many of them were at an age with families to support, and in the current unhealthy job market, finding new work would likely be tough. With this thought, Yu-in reported to Liu Yufeng, her mood still down. She even thought about arguing if they could hold off on layoffs for now. After all, with projects still being approved, perhaps in 2 months, the company's cash flow might improve. Is there a way to have them leave without paying? Liu Yufeng suddenly interrupted her, as though he hadn't listened to a word Yu-in had said. Yu-in was caught off guard. What? What I mean is, Liu Yufeng paused for a moment. The company is in a tough spot, and we're not the only company doing this. This kind of remark wouldn't surprise Yu-in if it came from any other boss. But from Liu Yufeng, it shocked her. But Yu-in tried several times to speak, finally finding her voice. I've already calculated the minimum compensation based on the labor contract law. Even so, we still need to inform all employees about the layoff plan in advance and file it with the labor department. Don't make it so complicated. Liu Yufeng waved his hand, cutting her off. I just have one request, get it done quickly. Like some foreign companies do, send out a notice and have them leave immediately. Also, it would be best if we could do it with zero cost, or at least not with the millions you've put in front of me. But these were two completely different requirements, and they were contradictory. Yu-in mentally rebutted him. Foreign companies could act swiftly because they provided large severance packages. The no-cost method wasn't presentable and would require time to execute. Your HR, You should have a way to do this, Lu Yufeng said, lifting his gaze to look at her before she could speak. Yu Yin met his gaze, a chill running through her chest. I do have a way. She paused, struggling to maintain her composure. But Lu, over these years, it's been you who said the company needed to be standardized, that we needed to follow the law and put people first. The company has always done things this way. So today, are we really going to use these underhanded tactics on our own employees? If we do this, what will people think of this company? Will those who stay still trust us like before, treating their work as a career? Yu Yin, do you think I want this? For the first time after years of being in a superior-subordinate relationship, Yu Yin spoke to Lu Yufeng in such a tone. Lu Yufeng paused in surprise, then suddenly slammed his fist on the table. But the company has to survive first. As the general manager, my responsibility is to everyone. If the company collapses due to a cash flow crisis, hundreds of people will lose their livelihoods and they won't get any compensation. The colder his expression became, the sharper his words grew. A successful general sacrifices many soldiers. For the greater good, is it wrong to sacrifice a few individual interests? If you, Yu Yin, had the ability to fix the company's cash flow problem, then I wouldn't have to lay anyone off. But right now, what I need is to cut human resource costs at the lowest possible cost. Yu Yin, you better understand this clearly. You're the head of HR, not the representative of the employees. Your personal views can be kept, but this matter must be handled according to my requirements. Yu Yin returned home, feeling downcast. What's wrong? You look so upset. Did someone owe you money and not pay up? Her husband, Xiao Yi, popped his head out from the kitchen, asking with a grin. Their 5-year-old daughter, Ye ran over and hugged Yu Yin's leg. Mom, don't be mad. Daddy bought some little cakes today. They're so yummy. I saved you a big piece. The little girl exaggerated with her chubby hands. You gave her cake again? Yu Yin turned to look at Xiao Yi. How many times have I told you, Ye's about to lose her baby teeth? I remember. Xiao Yi washed his hands, then coaxed Ye into the room to play before coming over to explain. She only had a little, and I watched her rinse her mouth afterward. That's better. Yu Yin handed him her bag and flopped onto the sofa. I'm exhausted. Give me a shoulder rub. Okay, Your Majesty. Xiao Yi put down the bag, sat behind her, and began massaging her shoulders while asking, still worrying about the layoffs at the company? Yu Yin buried her face in a pillow, her voice muffled. Your company's been doing pretty well over the years. Who would have thought they'd end up laying people off? Xiao Yi sighed. You wouldn't believe what else happened. Yu Yin pressed his hand, then sat up beside him. What do you think of our general manager, Lu? Lu. Xiao Yi raised an eyebrow in surprise. He seems like a good guy, capable and decisive, and he's always supported your work. He's been a real mentor for you. Yeah, a mentor. Yu Yin forced a bitter smile, her gaze blank as she stared ahead, her voice quieting. But do you know what he said to me today when I reported the layoffs? What? He said. Yu Yin paused, her throat tight as if choked by something, yet her disappointment was evident in her tone. He said I should find a way to get those colleagues to leave on their own. Ah. Xiao Yi was taken aback. How could he say that? He doesn't seem like the type of heartless boss. It didn't seem like it, but perhaps it's only when you face a real situation that you see someone's true character. Thinking of how her husband had been working as a male kindergarten teacher since graduating, constantly around children and with a mind simpler than her own, Yu Yin didn't say anything. How could he do that? Xiao Yi finally reacted, even angrier than she was. Laying people off is harsh enough, and now he doesn't even want to pay? What's he expecting them to do? Plus, isn't he using you as a scapegoat? Hiding behind you to make you the bad guy? This is too much. Maybe I have to be the bad guy, Yu Yin sighed. It's bad enough having to be the bad guy, but these colleagues were all hired by me. We've worked together for so many years. How could I just let them go? Then maybe I should quit too. I can't keep doing this job. All right, Xiao Yi nodded. If we're not happy, then we shouldn't keep doing it. Money is just money. We can cut back on spending. However, Yuin was just saying this out of frustration. In reality, because Xiaoyi's income wasn't high and neither her nor his parents could lend them a hand, Yuyin's income had always been the primary source of support for their little family. While she could consider switching jobs, changing companies in HR wouldn't necessarily avoid situations like this. Besides, with the current economic situation, what if she ended up with nothing? Faced with the mortgage, car loan, and Yia's piano and dance classes, Yuying didn't have the luxury to act on impulse. Fortunately, her ability to self-regulate was strong, and by the next morning, she had already adjusted her mood and was ready to meet with the department managers to review the employees' performance to see if there was anything she could find. You're asking about performance? The department manager, who had been agitated earlier, immediately raised his voice upon hearing Yuyin's question. What problems could they have? If there was an issue, I wouldn't need you to set any targets for me. I would have already dismissed them. But now the company has this requirement. What are we department managers supposed to do? I can only let go of the senior employees, because with fewer people, the workload will increase and younger employees are more resilient. What I mean is, Yuin gathered her thoughts. If these few people's performance is lower compared to others, that's still an issue, right? It can be considered a problem. I don't think so, the department manager shrugged. If there's an issue with them, the only problem is cost effectiveness. If I lay them off, I can meet my targets more easily. Yuin Vesilence. This was the hardest part. For colleagues who did their work, put in the overtime, and hadn't been involved in any underhanded tactics, she truly couldn't bring herself to take any sneaky actions. I'll talk to the boss again, Yuin finally said in a heavy tone. But if we need to implement a 10% pay cut, do you think you can handle the employees' mindset? As long as the team can stay, no problem. After a brief discussion, all the department managers agreed. Yuin nodded, did the calculations, and then headed to Lu Yufeng's office. She shared what she had found and presented her suggestion. Lu Yufeng kept his eyes lowered, seemingly lost in thought. After a long pause, he finally shook his head. 10% won't solve the problem. Yuin, first and foremost, you're the company's head of HR, which means you should always represent the interests of the company. His expression grew colder. I thought you understood this, but it seems you've got your priorities mixed up. Yuin felt a chill in her heart. What Lu Yufeng said next was even harder to accept. Since you don't have an effective solution, I'll give you one, he said, his voice now softer but more forceful. Immediately send out a notice to restructure the organization. Set up a project execution team to follow up on project payments. Those who meet the payment targets will get their full salary and a bonus. Those who don't will have their pay deducted proportionally. As for who should be on this team, Lu Yufeng tapped his fingers on the table, making the final decision. The people on the layoff list seemed perfect for it. Yuin didn't know how she left the general manager's office. HR, the good guy. HR, the bad guy. She wanted to be the good guy, but for the sake of the company's interests, she wasn't a stranger to playing the bad guy either. But after 10 years in HR, Yuin never expected that one day she would be caught in the middle, unable to please anyone. Let alone the colleagues. If the situation were reversed, she would be the one pointing a finger at herself, asking, how could you even think of such a despicable solution? But it wasn't her idea. Still, Yuin couldn't say anything. She had to keep this job. No matter how disappointed she was in Lu Yufeng, she couldn't deny the trust and promotion he had given her over the years. If she had another boss, she'd still be just a tool in someone else's hand. It was better to stick with Lu Yufeng. Yuin quickly made her decision. In her heart, she weakly reassured herself. Everyone has their own networks and capabilities. What if these employees really managed to recover the payments? That would be good for both them and the company, and we could all get through this economic winter together. However, there was one part she couldn't avoid: communicating with each person to amend their labor contracts. It was a task that made her scalp tingle just thinking about it, and if things went as expected, it would destroy the goodwill she had accumulated over the years. But Yuin had no choice. So she carefully went over the layoff list again, deciding to take the easier route first, starting with those who were easygoing and had close relationships with her. The first person Yu-in approached was the recruitment officer in her department. The company had stopped all recruitment 2 months ago, and the recruitment officer had recently been quite free, having just taken a 10-day vacation to travel abroad with his parents. Perhaps because he worked in HR himself, he wasn't surprised by the situation. He calmly agreed to the transfer, treating it as a temporary transition, at least with the company continuing to pay Social Security. Yu-in felt both guilty and slightly relieved by the recruitment officer's attitude. The next few cases were fairly smooth. After all, in any company, there's always gossip and speculation about what's going on. Compared to the worst-case scenario, where the company was going bankrupt or firing people without any severance pay, this solution at least gave everyone some breathing room. Congrats on making a good start, my wife. Xiao-yi raised his glass to celebrate with Yu-in at dinner that evening. Yu-in, however, couldn't be that optimistic. These people either have family resources or are confident they can quickly find a new job, she said with a wry smile, shaking her head. The ones who can't rely on either are the real problem. People in tech shouldn't have trouble finding a job, right? Xiao-yi reassured her. Don't worry too much, maybe, like you said, they'll manage to recover the payments and even earn a bonus. Recovering payments? It wasn't going to be that easy. More than that, Yu-in had a sinking feeling that someone would angrily confront her soon. They say a woman's sixth sense is often spot on, and sure enough, the next day at work, Yu-in met the person who would turn against her. Zhao Hui, a 36-year-old research and development engineer, had been with the company for 7 or 8 years. Yu-in wasn't particularly familiar with him, as Zhao Hui was introverted and kept his interactions brief. If there was anything that stood out in her memory, it was 2 things. First, when he had just joined, he won the Best New Employee award and, somewhat shyly, bought Yu-in a cup of coffee. Second, in the last couple of years, Zhao Hui had frequently taken leave, and when the department manager asked him why, he was vague. So Yu-in had to have a word with him. Of course, Zhao Hui didn't reveal anything, but he assured her that he hadn't done anything that would harm the company. After that, his leave requests became less frequent, and Yu-in didn't look into it further. In truth, Yu-in wasn't surprised that Zhao Hui was on the list. If others were completely innocent, Zhao Hui's work performance hadn't been spotless. So, she hadn't expected that, after explaining the department changes to him, Zhao Hui would suddenly slam his hand on the table, his eyes red with anger. I'm in R&D. Why the hell should I handle collections? Zhao Hui's voice was hoarse. If I have to do it, that's fine, but don't cut my salary. It's not about cutting your salary. Yu-in softened her tone. Every position has performance metrics. I already mentioned that if you meet the collection target, not only will your salary remain unaffected, but you can also earn a performance bonus. Bonus. Zhao Hui gave a bitter laugh, his anger evident in his clenched jaw. Manager Yu, let me ask you this. If collections were that easy, why aren't all those sales managers doing it? And now you're telling us we'll get a bonus for recovering payments? Do you think we're 3-year-olds? Yu-in was speechless. In fact, she wanted to ask Lu Yufeng the same question, but she couldn't. I know, Zhao Hui continued. The company thinks I'm too old, that I can't keep up, and is trying to force me out in any way possible. He leaned back in his chair, his body rigid, before looking at Yu-in. Manager Yu, I was hired by you. I've always thought you were a good person, so today I'll be honest with you. He fell silent for a moment, then let out a heavy sigh. People have pride. If the company doesn't want me, I don't want to hang around like a parasite. If you're worried about severance pay, we can talk about it, right? I've had some feelings for the company over the years, but you can't treat people like this. If I were in my 20s, I wouldn't need to be dealing with this. He paused again, his Adam's apple bobbing as though he was swallowing some emotion. In short, if you want me to leave, we can discuss compensation. As for the transfer, I'm not going. I'm in R&D, and I'll do my own work. Anything else?
Not my job.
Zhao Hui did. what he said. By the time Yuin had finished handling everyone else, she found that he was still sticking around in his original department. The department manager didn't assign him any tasks, so he dug up his old code, optimizing what needed to be optimized and adding comments where they were missing. He showed up on time and left on time, not causing trouble or slacking off, so there wasn't really anything to criticize. Initially, Yuin thought it wouldn't be the worst situation. Based on her experience, she figured Zhao Hui must be updating his resume by now, and if he could find another job, there would be no need to escalate things further. Even if he hadn't found a job, it would be hard for anyone to endure the pressure of being ostracized by the entire department every day and still stay. Whatever the outcome, it was likely to be the result she wanted. However, a couple of days later, the department manager came to find Yuin. Not for anything else, but because Zhao Hui had submitted a lot of code over the years, and he had taken the initiative to optimize it. It couldn't be said that he was wrong. But many software companies have a common issue. When too many people work on the same code, it becomes a mess, and no one dares to touch it. Any attempt to alter it could lead to irreparable consequences, like a catastrophic system failure. The department manager wasn't maliciously suspecting Zhao Hui. He just couldn't rule out the possibility, and he couldn't afford to take the risk. He needed to resolve the situation quickly. Yuin had no choice but to grit her teeth and approach Zhao Hui again. Many people think HR is full of clever people, skilled at saying the right things to the right people. In reality, not everyone is that smooth. It's just that with no way out, you have to force yourself to be good at navigating tricky situations. After taking several deep breaths, Yuin finally had the courage to call Zhao Hui. If you're going to handle this the same way as last time, Zhao Hui's voice on the other end of the line was cold, then there's no point in talking. With that, he hung up. Yuin stared at her phone for nearly half a minute before suddenly standing up and heading straight for Zhao Hui's department. She stood by his desk, watching as he stared at his computer, acting as if she were invisible. Silently, she pinched the palm of her hand to steady herself. Yuin said, "Zhao Hui, I suggest we talk. I know you don't accept this arrangement, but discussing it won't make things worse. On the contrary." She paused and lowered her voice. "If you do decide to leave, at least I'm in HR and most of my friends are in this field too. I won't promise anything, but I'll do my best to help you. To take it one step further, even if I can't help, I can vouch for you during a background check at your new company." Although what Yuin said was framed as offering help, it carried an implicit threat. No matter how Zhao Hui interpreted it, just saying those words made Yuin feel disgusted with herself. Perhaps, in the end, everyone is forced by life to become the very person they once hated. The next moment, she tried to justify it to herself. In the end, Zhao Hui stood up and followed her to the office. "You've been updating your resume, right?" Yuin asked. Zhao Hui didn't respond, nor did he deny it. "How's it going? Have you had any interview offers?" Yuin continued. Zhao Hui fell silent for a moment before letting out a self-deprecating snort. "I'm 36. After working diligently for all these years, my old company is finding ways to get rid of me. Why would anyone else give me a chance?" Yuin was stunned into silence. After a long pause, she finally softened her tone. "You can't say that. Our company's situation this year really isn't good, and we have to find ways to keep it running. After all, hundreds of people depend on this for their livelihoods. Also, a department transfer doesn't mean you're any worse than anyone else. The company is just hoping everyone can tough it out together." "Manager Yu," Zhao Hui interrupted, his dark eyes staring directly at her. "No need to say any more. I understand." He rubbed his face with his hand, his emotions gradually calming, but his face still bore a deep exhaustion. "I haven't lost touch with the outside world, and I know there are plenty of ways your company can force me out. Honestly, compared to the dirty tactics of other companies, this method at least gives me a bit of room. So, Manager Yu, if you're asking if I want to leave, yes, I do." Zhao Hui looked up at the ceiling. "I came from a rural background, and to joke around, I was the pride of my village back then. But pride doesn't mean much in the face of reality." His gaze remained steady, but his eyes were reddened. At this point, Manager Yu, I'll be blunt with you. If you're willing to help me, I'd be grateful. If not, there's nothing I can do. My family situation isn't great. My parents are getting old, and in the countryside, there's no pension, just relying on the sun. It wasn't such a big deal before, but 2 years ago, my wife had surgery. It was early-stage cancer. She survived, but she can't overwork. He tugged at the corner of his mouth with a faint smile. You might not understand, but what it feels like to be the only breadwinner, with both aging parents and kids. That's why it's so easy to bully middle-aged people in the workplace. Too many soft spots. Every step feels like you're being dragged along by forces beyond your control. The words hung in the air, and both of them fell silent. Yu-in wanted to say something, to tell him, I'm just like you. If I didn't have any soft spots, I would have walked away from Lu Yufeng as soon as he made this request. But in the end, she swallowed all those words. It's not that I don't want to help. Yu-in finally spoke slowly, but if you're allowed to stay, what about the others? And you also said if they really want to force you out, they have plenty of ways. Even with forced layoffs, you could go to arbitration. But with 2 hearings, it could take at least 1.5 years. The company has dedicated legal staff who can play this game to the end. Can you afford that? In the end, the 2 of them didn't reach an agreement. But it wasn't entirely without progress. Zhao Hui asked for a week to consider the situation. Yu-in knew he wanted to try a bit longer, so she took the initiative to ask for his resume. She helped him revise and polish it herself, then reached out to her contacts for recommendations. But the responses were sparse. Most of her colleagues in the industry were doing the same thing, layoffs or pay cuts. During this time, Yu-in attended a small gathering at a cafe opened by a former colleague. HR professionals met and immediately began venting, all saying that the industry was no longer sustainable. In our company, if we had to vote for the most disliked person, it would definitely be me. The boss can't even compete with me, someone joked bitterly. Another person chimed in. Of course. We're basically the boss's tools, helping him do all the dirty work. When things go wrong, we're the ones blamed to appease the public. Everyone laughed, but Yu-in didn't. What's wrong? Someone nudged her elbow. Yu-in shook her head. It's a long story. You used to say your boss wasn't bad, right? After all, he's a graduate from a prestigious school, and he's rule-oriented. Not like our boss, who's just blunt and ruthless, the person added. Rule-oriented. Yu-in fell silent for a moment before she couldn't help but laugh. She had respected Lu Yufeng for so many years, only to realize that, when it came to interests, everyone was the same. What she had once loved about her job now only served the purpose of providing for her family. On the way back, Yu-in received a call from Zhao Hui. His voice was a bit hoarse, probably from smoking too much recently. Manager Yu, I've thought it over. If you're talking about a transfer, then fine. It's just about collecting debts, I'll do it, Zhao Hui said. Clients are people too. We can negotiate. I'm in tech, and if it doesn't work, I can still help them with some small programs, solve some office problems. I don't believe we can't recover anything. Yu-in inwardly scoffed. The debts they were chasing had already been mostly collected. What was left were the ones Lu Yufeng personally couldn't recover. But she couldn't say that from her position. Then come to see me tomorrow to sign the contract changes, Yu-in replied. She paused for a moment before adding, I'll continue to help you with recommendations. If something comes up, they might contact you. Zhao Hui quickly expressed his thanks, then, as if trying to comfort himself, he added, maybe I'll get lucky and collect the money. Not only will the salary be fully paid, but maybe I'll even get commission. Honestly, if the client is willing to pay, I'll kneel for them. At this point, what do I still have to lose? Yu-in thought he was just joking, but she didn't expect him to actually go through with it. About a month later, 3 colleagues from the transfer department resigned, while the others hung on. Some did manage to recover a small portion of the debts, but the amounts were insignificant and performance bonuses were still cut. Lu Yufeng was quite pleased with this and praised Yu-in. At that moment, he received a phone call from a client, and it was a frantic complaint. It was Zhao Hui's doing. When Yu-in rushed over, she found Zhao Hui kneeling on the floor, holding onto the legs of the client's general manager, Mr. Wang, begging. 2 security guards couldn't get him to move. What happened? Yu-in asked. They have money now, someone shouted in frustration. Upon hearing her voice, Zhao Hui turned and shouted, Really, Manager Yu? I checked with my friends, they just got back over 6 million yesterday. What right do you have to investigate our company's payments? Mr. Wang was furious, and in the next moment, he turned to Yu-in. Take him away right now, or I'll call the police. Yu-in bent down to help him up. Zhao Hui, calm down. I can't calm down. Zhao Hui shoved her aside, but his words were directed at Mr. Wang. You say I don't have the right to check your payments, but do you have the right to not pay your debts? I've been here so many times this month, every time being told there's no money. No money? Then what about the 6 million? Pay our company back, and I'll leave right now. Pay you back, Mr. Wang shouted, trying to peel Zhao Hui's hands off him. He barked at the security guards. What are you guys doing? You can't even drag him away? What am I paying you for? He then turned his anger on Yu-in. Your people have caused a scene here, and Lu Yufeng sends a woman to handle this? Are we never going to cooperate again? You misunderstood, Mr. Wang. Yu-in quickly explained, her eyes scanning the security guards' movements, hoping they wouldn't hurt Zhao Hui. This isn't about the company's cash flow issues. We've been given a task. If we don't recover the debts, we'll have to deduct performance bonuses. We're just ordinary people, trying to support our families. I can understand the emotions, but Yu-in said, trying to calm the situation. But this isn't the way to handle it. Mr. Wang pulled a long face. You think it's tough for you? My employees haven't been paid in 2 months, begging for money, and this kid's using improper means to investigate our payments. Let me tell you, I can call the police right now and charge him with illegally obtaining our company's commercial secrets. No need, no need. Yu-in kept a smile on her face. Mr. Wang, how about you pay a little? 2 million? Or even 1 million? I'd be happy with that. Impossible. Mr. Wang flatly refused. If you still want to cooperate, wait until next year. I'll definitely pay you then. Or go ahead and sue me. Mr. Wang, don't push me too far. Hearing this, Zhao Hui, who was being dragged out, suddenly broke free from the security guard's grip and, with surprising speed, rushed back to pick up an office chair from in front of the glass windows. I'm telling you now, he shouted, his eyes bloodshot. If you don't pay today, I'll smash this glass and jump out of here. If I'm going to die, then no one's going to get away with it. I'll see if this broken company can survive after you've killed someone. You, Mr. Wang trembled, pointing at Zhao Hui. Yu-in also grew tense. Zhao Hui, you have a family and children. Please don't act impulsively. She slowly moved closer and spoke softly to him. How about you tell me your demands, and I'll go back and discuss them with Mr. Liu. Is it even worth discussing? If you could meet my demands, you wouldn't be torturing me like this. Zhao Hui sneered. If I die, you'll save on compensation money. You should be happy. Yu-in was at a loss for words. 1 life in exchange for a few $100,000 in compensation, and a lifetime of guilt. She didn't think there was anything to be happy about. The company won't do that. I'll call Mr. Liu right now. Just stay right there and don't move. Yu-in raised a hand, pressing it down gently to reassure him. Zhao Hui said, then tell him I want to go back to my original department. Since you didn't want to pay before, I won't accept it now. As long as the company doesn't collapse, I'll die here if I have to. Yu-in rubbed her forehead. In fact, at this point, no one really wanted to stay. The environment was tough, and the streets were full of young people looking for jobs. Zhao Hui just couldn't compete in terms of cost-effectiveness and work ethic. As he had said before, face and dignity meant nothing in the face of reality. Yu-in stepped aside and called Lu Yufeng. Yu-in, I thought you had the ability to handle this kind of situation. Lu Yufeng's tone was laced with disappointment. Or did you never agree with my approach from the start? This implied that she hadn't been fully committed. Mr. Liu, Yu-in swallowed the feeling of grievance. As a leader, your decisions should be followed 100%, and I understand that. However, I've reported Zhao Hui's situation to you. How about this? Why don't we agree to his request, with the condition that he only gets transferred back when someone leaves from his department? After all, the vacant position needs to be filled anyway. Lu Yufeng was silent for a moment. Okay, but make sure he keeps it confidential. Understood. After hanging up, Yuin lowered her voice and relayed Lu Yufeng's words to Zhao Hui. I'll give you one last chance. Zhao Hui pointed at her, then turned toward Mr. Wang. And you, don't think you're off the hook just because you refuse to pay. If my salary gets cut again next month, I'll be back. Scum. Mr. Wang glared at him, then yelled at the security guards, get them both out of here. Are you watching a show or doing your job? Every day with these kinds of people, there's no need for future cooperation between our two companies. Amid Mr. Wang's grumbling, Yu-in escorted Zhao Hui out of the client's office. In fact, during her conversation with Lu Yufeng, Yu-in had kept a little something to herself. Over the past month, because many people had been reassigned to help collect debts, the R&D department had been under significant pressure, working overtime almost every day. Some people had updated their resumes online. The day before, Yu-in had received a background check call, and it happened to be from someone in Zhao Hui's old department. She suspected that person would soon propose to leave, and, sure enough, that's what happened. So, a week later, Zhao Hui quietly returned to his original department to take over the work left by the departing employee. On the surface, everything seemed normal, and the events at the client's company were carefully kept under wraps by Yu-in. However, it didn't take long before rumors started circulating, claiming that Zhao Hui had followed Yu-in's path, implying that they had a special relationship. Otherwise, why would he be transferred back so quickly when a position opened up? Some of the older employees remembered that when Yu-in had hired Zhao Hui, she had jokingly said he looked handsome, like a young celebrity. Even Zhao Hui buying Yu-in coffee was something others recalled. Yu-in paid no attention to these rumors. In the workplace, a little gossip was normal, especially since she had offended so many people recently. However, even if someone tried to spread malicious rumors about her, people who knew her and Zhao Hui wouldn't believe them. She was just worried about people taking advantage of the situation. But some things were inevitable. As they say, what you fear most often comes to pass. That evening, as Yu-in was about to leave work, someone pushed the door open and entered. It was Sun Gang, a colleague from Zhao Hui's department who had also been reassigned to help with debt recovery. You're leaving so early, Manager Yu? He smiled, but his tone was condescending. What's up? Yu-in put down her bag and sat back down, signaling him to sit. It's not a big deal. Sun Gang pulled out the chair opposite her. Just wanted to ask, when can I be transferred back to my original department? Here it came. Yu-in knew exactly what was happening, but she didn't let it show. Wasn't your transfer pretty smooth? And you've actually made progress on recovering payments. I just heard from finance that you managed to bring back over 200,000. If you keep it up, you'll likely meet your target this month. It's possible, I guess. Although my father-in-law has retired, he still has some influence, Sun Gang sneered. But the company should be fair, right? I joined the company the same year as Zhao Hui, and my technical skills are just as good as his. If he can be transferred back, why can't I? Is it just because Zhao Hui is better looking than me? Am I not your type, Manager Yu? Yu-in really didn't expect Sun Gang to say such a thing. Usually, Sun Gang was more outgoing and cheerful than Zhao Hui, and Yu-in had a better relationship with him. That's why she was even more angry now. However, a good HR should be able to manage their emotions effectively in the workplace. So she just smiled and said, transferring Zhao Hui back was a result of discussions with the department and after consulting with Mr. Liu. Everyone's situation is different. You're more capable than him when it comes to debt collection. And since the R&D department has been under a lot of pressure with all the overtime, there's really no need for... That's my problem. Sun Gang interrupted her. It's just overtime, isn't it? I'm fine with it. I worked overtime a lot when I first joined the company. Besides, even if I have resources to get some money back, those resources will run out eventually. What happens after that? I just want to focus on R&D now.
Can you help me with that?
Yuen paused for a second. Well, she replied with a smile, it depends on the opportunity. I can't make any promises. No promises? Sun Gang looked at her. Yuen nodded. All right, then I know what I need to do, Sun Gang said before getting up and leaving. For the next week or so, he didn't approach Yuen again. Yuen checked, and it turned out that he hadn't completed his tasks. When it was time to pay the salary, they deducted nearly 2,000 yuan from his performance pay. Yuen thought that Sun Gang probably wouldn't just accept this. She was preparing to gather some information about Sun Gang's recent work status when he showed up at her office. My performance pay was deducted again this month. I can't live like this, Sun Gang said. Your target is still halfway done, which is quite good. After all, your salary is higher than others. Yuen tried to explain. I don't care. I came to talk about my demands today, Sun Gang said firmly, not even planning to sit down, ready to leave right after speaking. I didn't agree to the labor contract change. You guys forced me to sign it and I don't recognize it. I demand that the company pay back the money they deducted, or I'll claim forced resignation, and the company has to give me compensation. Yuen sized him up. Sun Gang had probably seen some articles online about forced resignation but hadn't looked into it properly, and he hadn't even received any written notice. She relaxed a little, keeping her smile. The company didn't force you to resign, so sorry, we can't give you the compensation you're asking for. The next day, Sun Gang didn't show up for work. When the department manager called him, he didn't answer. Yuen personally contacted him, but he still refused to return. I'm preparing for labor arbitration.
I don't have time, Sun Gang said.
Well, you still need to come to work, Yuen said, her voice lowering. Not showing up is not good for you. This last sentence was Yuen's final sincere warning to Sun Gang, coming from her desire to be a good HR. However, Sun Gang clearly didn't understand, hanging up the phone and not showing up for work. 3 days passed, and on the 4th day, Yuen quietly sent him a notice of termination of labor contract, citing 3 days of absence as serious violation of company policy. At the same time, Sun Gang may have realized his mistake, or perhaps received some advice, and sent over an EMS with a content titled, Forced Termination of Labor Contract Notice. But it was already too late. Yuen had his employee number deleted and removed him from all company groups on WeChat. Sun Gang soon came to the company. When he couldn't get in, he started shouting and causing a scene, eventually calling the police, claiming the company had kept his personal belongings. Although Yuen responded immediately, and with the police and security present, Sun Gang was escorted back to his desk to collect his things. It still sparked private gossip among the employees. Sun Gang had been at the company for so many years, and they just kicked him out without giving him a penny. The company is really ruthless, someone said. I don't think that was Mr. Liu's idea, another person whispered. You think it was Yuen's? The first person lowered their voice. I don't know. I used to think she was nice. Last year during the spring festival when we were working overtime, she came to check on us, even had dinner with us on New Year's Eve. Of course, when there's no conflict of interest, everything is fine, the second person sneered. You never know a person until it matters. But she and Zhaohui seemed to be quite close. The third person who hadn't spoken yet turned off the water tap over the sink. If it wasn't for Yuen protecting him, he wouldn't have been transferred back so easily. Well, Zhaohui is good-looking. Beautiful women love handsome men. Isn't that normal? Another person said. I never thought Yuen would fall for that. The group laughed, exchanging knowing glances. It was then that Yuen opened the bathroom door and walked in. If you want to talk business, talk business. But personal attacks and spreading rumors, she said calmly, scanning the room, I've recorded it all. If this continues, I won't hesitate to use legal means to protect myself. After the incident, the gossip suddenly stopped. Everyone was very polite to Yuin, especially after Sun Gang's failure at labor arbitration. But Yuin knew that perhaps in her colleagues' eyes, she was no longer seen as a good person. After all, Sun Gang had been spreading the word that he was completely set up by Yuin. If this satisfied the leadership, that could be considered some consolation. In reality, however, just the day the police came, Lu Yufeng had already given her a harsh scolding. "This small issue, and you handled it like this." The man's fingers tapped on the table. "Yuin, I really didn't expect this from you." "A small issue? Destroying someone's livelihood is a small issue?" But Yuin didn't argue. She simply admitted her lack of experience and promised to be more careful in the future. "You need to keep an eye on the debt collection," Lu Yufeng continued. "Make sure the attendance system is loose on the outside, but strict internally. Approve all business trips, but if someone uses a business trip as an excuse for personal affairs, deal with it accordingly." The company policy states that falsifying attendance is a serious violation and should result in dismissal, right? During these exceptional times, you need to implement these policies and measures. Don't make me, the general manager, have to teach you. By the end of this year at the latest, I want those who are capable of recovering money to stay, and everyone else gone. Do you understand, Manager Yuin? Yuin nodded, silently returning to her office, silently handling her work, and silently going home after work. As she reached the entrance of the building, she looked up. The lights were on in her balcony on the 3rd floor. Xiao Yi had washed the clothes, hers, their daughter's, and was standing there, smoothing and hanging them one by one. Off work. When he saw her, the man flashed a smile. "My mom sent 2 jars of her homemade leek flowers today, said you like them. So I specially cooked some lamb, waiting for you to come up and eat." "Okay." Yuin slowly exhaled a breath. The energy she had almost run out of seemed to gradually return at this moment. She was a daughter, a wife, and a mother. Whether others saw her as a good person, a bad person, or someone who wasn't good enough for either, it didn't matter. As Zhao Hui once said, "Face doesn't matter when it's compared to car loans, mortgage payments, and a daughter's piano lessons." Let alone the idle gossip that they wouldn't even dare to say in front of her.